President Trump is responding to some bank executives that have pushed back on the Justice Department's investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He says bankers' interests may not be in line with the American people. Watch.
I think it's fine what I'm doing. We have a bad Fed person. He was extended by Biden. And, yeah, I think he's wrong. I think it's wrong. He's done a bad job. We should have lower rates. Jamie Dimon probably wants higher rates. Maybe he makes more money that way.
And when he was asked about Powell saying that it was a political indictment last night in his interview, he said, "I can't help how this looks." So they're not backing away from it. But, Larry, you've got a unique take on this.
Well, I'm just parsing through this. First of all, I don't want Jay Powell to become a martyr, because Jay Powell has done more to damage the independence of the Federal Reserve during his tenure than any Fed chairman that I can remember. And I've studied the thing, started my career there. I mean, what he did politically, cutting rates. He went into every cockamamie, woke, DEI, no loans to fossil fuels, all that stuff. Crazy stuff, and then tried to reelect the Democratic ticket. I mean, his cronies were insider trading, and he never did a thing about it in the Federal Reserve Board. I mean, terrible, really. But I don't want him to be a martyr, and I don't want him to be Fed chair 1 nanosecond longer than he has to be. Okay, statutorily.
Can I ask you a question? And Dagan and I were talking about this Monday and Tuesday. Legally, when his chairmanship is over in May, he can stay on until January 2028.
I know, but
does he do that now?
I don't think so. This will come to nothing, okay? But look, the odd thing here is our friend Jeanine Pirro, who was a brilliant woman, okay? I'm not going to attack Jeanine Pirro. She's the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. But I think she didn't play her cards right on this. I mean, when you read the statements, and this is from Fox Digital and elsewhere, she's saying the word indictment, first of all, has come out of Powell's mouth, no one else. He hadn't been charged. I just want to note that. So far, there's no charge. She said they contacted the Fed several times, and the Fed didn't respond in some, I don't know, machine-readable way, but there was no urgency to it. She said that herself. This is from her own set. Then she said, this office makes decisions based on the merits, nothing more and nothing less. Well, the merit, look, a cost overrun in Washington, D.C., how shocking is that? It's not a criminal offense. He's a terrible Fed chair. He's damaged Fed independence, but he's not a criminal for the cost overrun. And then she said that she has made, here's the other thing, we made no mention of it. This is Ms. Pirro. We made no mention of a criminal investigation before it received a subpoena. And she said there's nothing to be concerned about here. So she didn't inform Maine Justice, so the Attorney General and Deputy AG did not know that this was happening. I don't think anybody knew this was happening. Trump himself has said that he wasn't part of it and he didn't agree with it. He's back. He said, no, it wasn't. He doesn't like Powell, obviously, but he didn't want this either. It's like nobody wanted this, and it happened, okay? It's like Henry II telling them, get rid of Thomas Becket, and they actually did, but they didn't really want him to do that. So what the solution here, calmer heads should prevail. I mean, it's roiled up the Senate Banking Committee, Republicans, and all the rest of it. The solution is to remove the subpoena. Just remove it. Now, if you make a deal, Senator Kramer said, in return for him resigning early, remove the subpoena. I don't know. All I'm saying is this shouldn't have happened. There was a lot of confusion and ambiguity, and it's one of these weird Washington stories. And look. She said, this is a direct quote, Jeanine, who I love. I just want to say that. I love Jeanine Pirro. The subpoenas were, quote, not a threat, end quote. I mean, so if they're not a threat, how about we go take it off? He's got, what has he got, 4 months left?
May.
Yes.
May. Let's just get that done. Calmer heads will prevail. Ms. Trump's going to nominate one of the two Kevins. I don't know who else.
If she withdraws it now, though, she looks silly.
Look. Sometimes you make them. Let the Justice Department. It's their job. They should have been informed. Okay, it should have all been run through justice because this is a high-powered thing. Okay, let them do it. Mr. Trump has already said, "I don't want it. I don't want it." He doesn't have to do it. Janine doesn't have to do it. Let Pam Bondi or some assistant attorney general do it. Let's be done with it. Let's not make Jay Powell a martyr, all right, because he's done a very poor job. As I said, here, you guys, Mohammed El-Arian, right? He's a very middle of the road, smart man, okay? I mean, he's been on my show. He's probably been here time and time again. He said Jay Powell's done more to damage Fed independence than anybody. And that's Mohammed El-Arian, a middle of the road guy. And Mohammed's right. So don't make him a martyr. I mean, let's just get on with it. Let's just get on with it.
I hear, Larry, what you're trying to say. And Brian, this isn't necessarily policy-driven, but is it kind of like something else of taking a laxative the night before the race?
Oh, man,
you're throwing something into the mix that you shouldn't be.
That's a really
We'll keep coming
good
back to
use
that
of that.
analogy.
One of those that's
But
going
Jackie, to
stick
your
around.
point,
Yeah.
rightfully so on Monday, and I see your side. People are frustrated that he sat in front of Congress and wasn't taking accountability, wasn't taking ownership of the cost overruns, and that there should be an audit into cost overruns. I had the flip side of that.
Yes.
And it sounds like Janine Pirro was asking about those cost overruns, and she got annoyed because he thought that he didn't have to answer her. I kind of get that.
A person familiar with the situation told Fox News Digital that the Federal Reserve received 2 emails over the winter holidays that conveyed no sense of urgency and made no mention of a criminal investigation before it received a subpoena.
Well, guess what? He's gone as the Fed chair in May. And President Trump's dude, assuming it is a dude, is going to be in there, and we will get all of the information that we could ever imagine about the new building renovation. What are you doing? Because, again, when subpoenas start flying, it's criminal.
Well, there hasn't been.
No subpoena.
It infers criminality, but they haven't made a charge.
Right.
And I guess there's a grand jury. I don't know that. I've not read that. But I guess there's a grand jury, and Jay Powell's supposed to appear before the grand jury. But I don't know that factually. I'm just saying that's the process.
That's the process.
But you have to charge.
And it doesn't have to go further than that.
You can't charge someone with a criminal indictment on a cost overrun.
When it's the U.S. Attorney for D.C.,
you can't do it.
It's a criminal matter. It's not, I want an audit of where the money went.
I love Janine.
Without her saying boo.
I love Janine Pirro.
Right, I know.
I want to say that.
Without her saying boo, it is the appearance that you're alleging he lied to Congress.
I think, I don't know. Sometimes you just jump too soon. I mean, some stuff happens.
Okay.
But don't make him a martyr, and let's get him out of
Well,
there
I'll say this
ASAP.
out loud, and I don't know anything, but it looks like somebody's trying to curry favor with the boss man, and you overshot. You overshot the ski jump, and you landed in the trees. But our money, the stability of our money is at stake.
It didn't have much
Rescind the
market.
subpoena.
It didn't have much market.
Yeah, it didn't.
By the way, I have a thought on what you just said is very important, and a name, but I'm not going to raise it because it'll just throw us off.
Of course.
You know who it is.
Okay.
You know who it is. Troublemaker.
We're going to leave it there, and you at home
Somebody
can
who
play along
deserves to get punched in
and
the
guess
face.
who it is, too.